Hey guys, this is Janine from Pangolin, and today I would like to tackle with you the big problem of backing up your files safely to make sure you never lose your photographs. First, I would like to present you with the best practice method, and I'll show you how you can adapt that depending on what type of rig you have at home, a laptop, a desktop, and how good your internet might be. I also quickly want to show you what options Lightroom provides you with in order to back up your files. So let's dive right in and get started. If you'd like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe. Just press the bell button down below here and you'll always get notified when there's new videos coming out. Backing up your files can be such a drama, and we often tend to just postpone it to the next day, and the next day, and then maybe the next day. But believe me, I have seen grown men cry losing their photographs. It's one of the saddest things that could happen to you, whether it's a natural disaster or theft or simply breakage because the files become corrupt. It doesn't really matter how it happens, at the end it is sad. So we need to make sure we back up our files safely and regularly. That is where the key point comes in. First of all, I would like to present you with the best practice method. So you need to follow these 4 steps to make sure your photographs and files are secure and safe. Number 1, you need to have the originals sitting safely, either straight on your internal hard drive if you have enough storage available, or on an external drive just here. For the original files, I like to work off a solid state hard drive. Those little drives have gotten smaller and smaller. It's quite amazing, and they're my working hard drives. Why is that? They don't get corrupted as quickly, they don't break as fast, and they're really robust when it comes to traveling, especially on the photographic trips. I've got it pretty much connected permanently here, and I took a little tip and trick from Guts, my partner, and have it velcroed right to my laptop to make sure it's not dangling around and wearing out my ports. Second, you need to have at least one backup on an external drive that you have easily available and close by. Thirdly, you need to have at least one more backup, a second backup, if not even a third. And one of these backups should go straight up into the cloud, because up there our files are safe from any natural disaster or break-ins in our house. So if everything is stolen at once, you will know you have your data at a different location where it's always kept safe. And my last and 4th point is that you ideally need to have your backup process automated so that you can't always postpone your backups to the next week and month, and eventually it comes to years, and by that time running the risk of losing your photographs is very high. So how can you automate this process? It depends on a rig, but there's several methods. Number 1, if you're uploading to a cloud, the service providers available, such as CrashPlan, Backblaze, or Carbonite maybe, always recognize which files are added or changed on your hard drives in your originals and automatically back up only the new data and changes out there. Really handy, because as long as you're connected to the internet, you know you have an updated backup available. Even though I'm not getting any benefits from any of the service providers, I personally enjoy CrashPlan simply because once you uploaded a file, it will never be deleted, even if you delete it from your external hard drive. Some other service providers, on the other hand, delete files if they don't regularly get to see them. So you still need to remember to plug in your backup hard drives on a regular basis, even though nothing has changed on them. So please keep that in the back of your mind. For your external drives, you can find similar mirroring apps that constantly mirror your original files to another external backup, so that the process is automated and you can't forget. Service providers such as CrashPlan actually do both They back up straight to the cloud and to an external hard drive, all automated without you having to lift a finger. Very handy. So this is the ideal world. However, if you're stuck with bad internet, the cloud up there is really not an option. I've tried my luck with CrashPlan over the last 2 weeks, and I've worked my way from taking about 5 years until my initial backup is finished to down to 1 year and 7 months. If it takes me that long to back up my files to the cloud, they're not safe at all, and for me, that was simply not an option. You might have similar problems if you have a bad bandwidth, or simply if your data is capped and you can't allow uploading 3 or 4 terabytes into a cloud. You'll have to weigh it off depending on how much external storage costs with you where you live and how much internet costs in turn. Whether you can implement my ideal backup plan also very much depends on what type of rig you work with at home. Do you work with a set desktop? Then you probably have your original files sitting on your desktop itself, as they usually come with enough internal storage that you can keep all your files and data there. The other advantage of working from a desktop is that it's stationary. So whatever external hard drives you plug in, they will not be moved around. The port connections are not disturbed so much, and you probably have a set place for them on your table. That sounds pretty obvious, but it simply allows you to have your backup drives permanently connected to your computer. And if you have them permanently connected to your computer, your mirroring process, both by a mirroring app or by the cloud, can always take place without being interrupted. Working from a laptop, on the other hand, this becomes a very dangly process. I have 3 hard drives connected at the moment. I can have up to 4 hard drives connected, but I certainly can't do that at all times and permanently. While I move around, I teach our clients at the hotel, in our editing room, or on a photo safari out in the field. I won't be able to carry all these hard drives with. It's too risky. I might damage them, and I can't carry my laptop around with 3 external hard drives dangling off at all times. So that automated mirroring process might not take place uninterruptedly. You will actually have to plug your hard drive in. Then your service provider can recognize the hard drive and start backing up the files. For that, you need to remember, though, to plug it in on a regular basis. One idea would be maybe to set an alarm on your phone. Take some time each month, each week, depending on how much and how regular you shoot, and be strict with yourself. If you don't do it, your risk of losing your photograph increases tremendously. How well you can back up your files also depends on how many ports your computer has. You can always extend your ports, but obviously your computer only has so much processing power, so you might not want to run multiple backups at the same time. Also, if you work on a laptop and you're busy with your backup process, please always remember to plug your laptop into a power source, because your backup will be interrupted if your computer shuts off. Furthermore, go into your system settings, whether it's a Mac or Windows, it doesn't matter, and make sure your power saving settings are set to a way that it never goes to sleep as long as you have your power cord connected. Same as with a shut-off computer, as long as it's sleeping, your backup isn't running. You might have it running through the night to make sure you get all your data transferred, and the next morning you noticed your computer actually only worked for 20 minutes and then shut off. So you see, if you work off a laptop instead of a desktop, you have the advantage of being more flexible, being able to move around, but you have the disadvantage that you're not stationary and cannot have permanent backups running. What type of hard drives do I usually use? As I mentioned before, I'm working off my solid state external hard drive as my main working tool. So my solid state and my computer and my external hard drive are both fast and work well with each other. Most of my backup drives are just regular normal hard drives. They're very sensitive and they can damage the data quite easily, but as they mostly sit in my safe, it is not a problem. But that's one of the reasons I don't like traveling with them or moving them around too much. These hard drives are also much slower to back up. So when you do your initial backup at first, you might need to take yourself 24 hours up to 2 days, depending on how many files you have. For a full 2 terabyte backup, you might need up to 2 days. If you say now none of this is good enough for you because you might shoot a lot of video, a lot of 4K video, a lot of large files just take too long to transfer forth and back, and making backups becomes an absolute nightmare, you might have to look at one of the Thunderbolt 3 storages. They're sort of hard drive towers with extreme fast processing capabilities due to their Thunderbolt 3 connection to your computer. They're rather expensive, but they make up for amazing storage devices that you can work off without having any delay with your computer, especially if you're editing movies. If you have very old hard drives sitting at home, even those that stand up straight and have their own cooling system still built in, you might want to reconsider, buy yourself a new hard drive and just play all the old information over to make sure you're not losing your photographs. So all this being said, let's dive into the actual backup process and see what can be done. You can see here I have 3 of my hard drives connected. My main hard drive is called JK Photos, and a little note on the side, I call every single hard drive JK Photos that holds my original files. Reason being, I want it all to fall under one drop-down menu within Lightroom to keep it nice and organized. Sometimes you have years grayed out if that specific hard drive is currently not plugged in, but at the end it will remain under one filing structure, which is really handy. So now you could go ahead and simply take these folders and copy and paste them onto your backup drive manually. However, if you do work with Lightroom, you don't just have your original photograph, but also the little text file that holds all your changes, plus the Lightroom catalog that is able to decipher these text files and implement the changes so your original photograph looks as if you have edited it. So another way to manually back up your files would be to take these folders within Lightroom, go to File and say Export as Catalog. You can then choose your location that you would like it to be backed up, and you give your backup a name. Ideally, I would choose a name including a date so that you know when last you have backed up your files. The disadvantage of manually backing up your files like that is that Lightroom cannot recognize which changes and which files are new. So every time you do this backup, it backs up the entire catalog, regardless whether things have changed or not. With one of the mirroring apps, however, you will save yourself a lot of backup time because it will only back up the newest images and the newest changes that have been made. Additionally, Lightroom Classic allows you to back up your catalog independently. If you go under your catalog settings, you can see you can back up your catalog once a week, once a month, every time you exit Lightroom, depending on how much you work with Lightroom. And that way you can also back up your catalog. But please don't confuse that catalog backup with an exported catalog. Within an exported catalog, you will actually export all the original files alongside with the little XMP text files that hold all the changes. It also backs up your catalog IR cat file which is the file that can decipher these little XMP files so that you can read all the changes, keywording, and organizing that you have done within your Lightroom settings. If you can't follow me right now, maybe go and check out my Lightroom course for beginners. It's coming out soon and might be just the right thing for you. So when Lightroom backs up your catalog upon closing the application, you will find that backup under Pictures in General, Lightroom Backups, and here you can see by date organized all the IACAT files. Again, it is only the file that helps you to decipher the changes done to your original photographs. It doesn't have the original photographs. To lose this file can be just as sad though, because if you've worked a lot within Lightroom and you've put a lot of effort and time into your photographs, losing all these changes can be very painful too. So I tend to copy and paste this manually onto another backup drive to make sure I always have several backups, not just on my computer. You can see this IACAT file is roughly 1 gigabyte. This is for about 30,000 images right now. So it takes up a little bit of space, and if you accumulate several backups and you work off a laptop that has limited storage capacity, you might want to go ahead and regularly go and delete the older backups. Just double check and make sure that you don't delete your most recent backup of your Lightroom catalog. So you can see that a mirroring app of some sort can be very handy to help you with backups. You might still have to manually plug in your external drives as they might not always be with your laptop, but that's one thing that is more easily to remember than to take the time of 2 to 3 days and manually back up the whole catalog every time over and over again. I know this is not a one-stop solution that I offered you because everybody works with different gear, but I hope it gave you a good idea what is necessary to keep your files safe and to keep them secure. If you have any questions or comments about backing up your files, maybe it doesn't work for you the way I suggested, please leave them in the section down below or let me know how you do it, because backups is a whole art form in itself and everybody is trying to scramble to organize. Some people have it really down to perfection and others tend to back up only every year, which can be very risky. Even with your cell phone pics, those memory shots can be important to you too. If you guys like our channel and you would like to go on safari with us in Botswana, check out the link down below here. It is absolutely stunning. Get yourself some photographs to be backed up, and there's no better place than here. Also, if you did like this video, please don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to our channel to make sure you always get the newest videos that are coming out. And I hope to see you soon again. Bye bye.